Well, good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic here on Mike Avery Outdoors. I am Mike Avery. I'm not outdoors. I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. More details on that coming up. But always glad to be along with you. Good morning, Cliff. A regular viewer. Always a pleasure to have you along with us, my friend, on a beautiful Wednesday morning here in this part of the world. Cliff's with us. Davina's with us. Davina has turned into a regular, faithful viewer as well. Davina jumps right into it. Mike, what day is it? It's hump day. Good morning, Jim. Is it Captain Jim yet? Well, it is. Yeah, because you passed the test. Jim Boot, a guy who has fished with me before on Saginaw Bay. Bruce, good morning. How are you? And Ron as well. It's going to be a while before I'm out on the Angler Qwest on Saginaw Bay. Hey, Brent. I talked to Brad Dupuis of Angler Qwest yesterday, and he said they hope to have my boat to me by Memorial Weekend. So that's still a couple weeks off yet. Hard to believe we're talking about Memorial Day already. But we are. Let's rock and roll, huh? Always ready to rock and roll. Good morning, Jeff. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. There's Brent, my buddy, who has also fished with me on the Angler Qwest on Saginaw Bay. But it's going to be a little while yet. That's okay because I'm still chasing turkeys. More on that later. But this weather is something else, isn't it? In the 80s. Yeah, and Jack, we're going to talk about that. We do, Jim. Yes. Jack sent me an email. There's a post going around the internet online about a discolored walleye, and people are making a big deal about it, like a bigger deal than what it deserves. Yes, there have been one fish, I think, found on Saginaw Bay and a couple on Lake Erie that are discolored, and the question is, what's wrong with those fish? Nobody knows yet, but I'm not going to say it's a big deal. Something to be concerned about, something to look at. Yes, something to change your fishing plans, something to change your outings. Absolutely not. Hey, Ross, congrats on that bird you shot this morning. Good job, buddy. I am still chasing mine. You got yours with a great shot. What was it, 41 yards? I don't know. I don't know if I have the confidence in my shooting that you do, Ross. But again, congrats. Good for you. Great Lakes cruise ship docked in Detroit today. How cool is that? Good morning, Craig. How are you, my friend? We got to start scheduling some dates. Several of you who are on here right now have trips planned with me this summer on Saginaw Bay, either river cruises or fishing trips. And that's one of the reasons I checked with Brad yesterday. I said, hey, I've got some trips coming up here. Do I need to push them back? Can I schedule them or what? And he said, no, anything after about the first week in June, Mike, you should be good to go. Should be. Because like everybody else, I mean, Angler Qwest builds most of their boats in-house. You know, they build the boats in-house, but they have to outsource some parts, for example, gas tanks and such, and everything is hard to get. So Craig and Ross, we need to start scheduling some dates. Anybody else who has trips with me, let's start scheduling some dates. Nikki, good morning. How are you? Thanks for joining us on this edition of Behind the Mic. But it is nice to get the weather like this, isn't it? I mean, we go from last week I was watching my granddaughters. Johnny, good morning, buddy. How are you? Softball games, wearing a winter coat. Last night I was out there in shorts and a t-shirt. So Mother Nature is an interesting critter, isn't she? Okay, I talked about the Angler Qwest soon in the next few weeks here. Oh, I should make myself a note here. We did have to lower my dock at the marina. I don't own it. Johnny says, Mike, what day is it? What day is it? It's hump day. There, we got that done.
It must be hump day.
It must be hump day. Hey, you were talking about Lanier.
Yes.
I had the chance to stand side by side with him. He played an exhibition game at Ferris.
Oh, really?
And I went to the game, and afterwards I went down on the court, and I thought, I'm a young stud guy, like 6'5", thinking I'm a big dog. I stood next to Lanier. I felt tiny. I mean, that guy was 6'10". He had shoulders like this. Yeah. So we mourn the passing of Bob Lanier. Good morning, Sam. How are you? John checking in from St. Louis. Hey, Charlie. It would be a good morning to be on the bay or in the turkey blind or here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. But we had to lower the dock. Last year, my dock was out of the water maybe, I don't know, it was a couple of feet too high. Well, yeah, true, Bernie. So I actually paid a guy to lower my dock, just because I'd never done it. The marina, the facility where I'm at has the tools, they have the equipment to do it, but I've never done it, and I was a bit hinky about it. So, yeah. So we lowered it down to just above water level on a northeast wind, so it should be good all summer long. Johnny says, when you shoot your bear, I want you to do that. Mike, what day is it? It's bear shooting day. And yes, I am going to shoot a bear with it, Johnny. Lanier bought his size 17 shoes. Well, Scott, I found out I'm in a 14. My feet have been hurting. I've been wearing size 13 shoes for a long time. They measured me. They said, no, you're a 14. Well, no wonder my feet hurt. But a 17, oh boy. From Wolverine Worldwide in Rockford, I think, right? Okay. So my turkey hunting update. I am not as skillful as our friend Ross Elliott, who shot his bird this morning. In fact, I will post the video of it later. I think it was a 41-yard shot. I'm playing cat and mouse with a couple of birds. I thought I was going to get access to the property to the east where they're roosting. If that was the case, everything was going to be much easier. But it turns out I can't. I can get access to some property to the east and south of there. But where they're roosting, I can't. From your dad, I didn't know your dad worked at Wolverine. 41 yards, Ross says. Congrats, Ross. That was a heck of a shot. Good morning, Jason. How are things in the Ford Dearborn truck plant? So let's see. I was out Monday morning. I didn't hunt yesterday. I was out Monday morning. A warmer morning, and I thought, okay, the birds are going to be gobbling more because they've been pretty tight-lipped, and they gobbled like crazy on the roost. I had one to the north of me, and I had one to the southeast of me, so I had two different birds. I'll tell you, there's something that's disturbing, though, along this whole line of turkey numbers down across the state, and this is a concern. I've got at least two longbeards on the property where I'm hunting, but I have not seen a Jake. Not one Jake. And if Jakes are around, you're going to see them, right? You're going to hear them gobble on the roost because you can tell it's a Jake. They're going to respond to your calls, and they're going to come in a flock to your decoys. I have not seen one Jake, which is a concern for next year because these male birds that are hatching now will not be bearded by next season. Well, they'll be Jakes, will they? They'll be Jakes. So the lack of Jakes means no longbeards next year. And I'm not the only one concerned about lack of birds. Nikki asked a question. Being new to turkey hunting, not hunting in general. What are your thoughts on turkey hunting with a bow? All my friends say skip the bow, don't do it. Good morning, Steve. How are you? Nikki, I am a big fan. Yes, we already know what day it is. It's hump day. I am a huge fan of bow hunting for turkeys. I think turkeys and bear are the perfect critters to bow hunt for because you know where they're coming. They're coming into a decoy or coming into a bait. However, I will say that since you are new to turkey hunting and you haven't shot a bird yet, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to take your first bird with a gun, if you so desire, just to have that experience. After that, I would not hesitate to switch over to a bow. Mike is fishing on Craig Lake. Nate is an Akiak. Brent says he had 3 jakes come into his decoys, but he's seen fewer turkeys than previous years. And that is the case across much of the state. There are pockets, of course, where there are still the same number of birds that there always have been. But I didn't see it, Joel, the show on Michigan Out of Doors with the blind hunter turkey hunting. I didn't see it, but I heard about it. Good morning, Billy. How are you? Thanks for joining me on this edition of Behind the Mic. I am Mike Avery, and I'm behind 2 microphones, so it's Mike behind the mics, plural. Hey, Ron, good morning. Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters, where they are getting ready to kick off their spring season here in a couple of weeks, I think. I know Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand is coming up to see you. And also Cody Norton is coming up to hunt with Ron. Cody's on the radio show this week. I'll talk about that rundown in a minute. Hey, good morning, Joe. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. Our friend Joe Llewellyn from Northern Michigan. Good guy, hardcore hunter. Let's get into the rundown for the show this week. Keith DeWald. All right, I want to go back to that discolored walleye. People, because they tend to overreact when they see something online. There's this post of a discolored walleye from Saginaw Bay going around the internet, and people are saying, oh, no, the fishery's in trouble. They're diseased, all this stuff. Cancel your events. Don't go. That's not the case. I'm going to talk with Keith DeWald, who is the guy who made that post, who is the president of the Saginaw Bay Walleye Club, and the son of a guy that I worked with, his dad, Keith DeWald Sr., 30 years ago on the very first Saginaw Bay Walleye Circuit ever created. It was called the News 5 Outdoors Saginaw Bay Walleye Circuit, and Keith was my man, Keith Sr., out of Au Gres. I'm going to talk with his son, Keith DeWald Jr., about that. Well, Bernie, I'm not saying that. But she asked what I think. If Nikki is a hardcore bow hunter like I am, go ahead and take it with a bow. Absolutely. Turkeys, as I said, are the perfect critter to bow hunt because they're probably coming into decoys in front of you at a known distance. I love turkey hunting with a bow. I'll bet it's been 15 years since I shot a turkey with a gun because I like shooting them with a bow. No shortage of birds in Clio. So anyway, we're going to talk with DeWald about that and the state of the fishery in general. Then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. In hour number 2, Cody Norton, the Michigan bear specialist, who is going bear hunting in White River, Ontario this spring with Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. I think it's a spring hunt, Ron, right here. Is he going to be up there in August with us? Anyway, he, document that. He will be with us. Then Dr. Megan Moriarty from the DNR talking about avian flu, bird flu. I don't like being a part of things that hype and continue. Good morning, Jen. How are you? I don't like making a big deal out of nothing, but apparently this bird flu is the real deal. This week's Ask Avery segment talking about Ross said, okay, today was his second turkey ever. First one with a shotgun, second with a bow. Bow hunting was more satisfying. Bow hunting is always more satisfying, in my opinion. But again, hunt your hunt. No, Joe, I didn't. Didn't you see 60 Minutes? Birds aren't real. I did not. Joe, I have not watched 60 Minutes in probably 20 years. Jerry, good morning. How are you? I'm not avoiding you. Oh, the turkeys are still, well, they're avoiding me too. Although I'm seeing them. I had a hen flew off the roost over my blind yesterday. I had a bird gobbling to the north. I had one to the southeast. The bird gobbling to the north came down, stood there in the field about 100 yards away, strutting and gobbling at me, but I couldn't get him to come in. I'm playing cat and mouse with these. I've got till the end of the month. And I'm a very patient guy. When they zig, I zag, and vice versa. But I'm not going to say I will get a bird. I am going to say I'm confident that I will be in a position to shoot a bird this season. I just feel that way. Ask Avery segment talking about the DNR collecting heads for CWD testing from roadside animals in the southwest part of the state and then leaving the carcasses there. That's this week's Ask Avery segment. And in hour number 3, we're talking about deer farmers in Michigan. And it's an interesting topic because Dan Harrington reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'd like to talk about what we do," and I'm all for that. I grew up on a farm in West Michigan, and we raised cows, we raised cattle, and the deer lived out in the woods. I never would have made the mental leap about taking those deer and raising them on a farm. Well, Dan's going to talk about that. Along that line, I will ask him about the M Live story that came out today saying a single captive white-tailed deer at a farm in Mecosta County tested positive for CWD. Now, yes, there is CWD in some. Oh, happy birthday, Ryan Craves. I didn't realize it was your birthday. My nephew, Ryan, happy birthday. Whitney's, my niece's, was just the other day. So, yes, there is CWD in some captive herds, but there's also CWD in our wild animals. So, anyway, I'll talk to Dan about that and the industry that is deer farming. And, of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Miner. John says, wouldn't just be coyotes, raccoons, and some small critters will eat the eggs? Yeah, they will. But, John, that doesn't explain the drop in turkey numbers nationwide and also here in Michigan. And again, there are some pockets of the state where you're still going to see a bunch of birds. But I'm not, I hope it's not a problem. We all hope it's not a problem. Oh, 5 minutes. Excellent. Okay. I want to talk to you about a couple of other things as well. Don't forget, this is the time. May is still the month to apply for your Michigan bear and elk tags. Which ranch in Mecosta County? Let me check this story here. They usually don't name them, Ross. At a farm in Mecosta County, 3-year-old deer has been fed, monitor farm deer for chronic wasting disease. This is not the first time CWD has been found in Michigan. 10 cervid farms have had animals test positive since 2008. And officials found the disease in free-ranging deer across 9 counties since 2015. Mecosta County has had 4 cases of CWD positive captive animals, followed by 3 in Montcalm County, 2 in Kent County, and 1 in Newaygo. They didn't name it, Ross, but they never do. What's this one here? Nikki says, my thoughts with it. Okay. An avid hunter, amazing hunter, okay, with any type of gun, recently bought a new amazing bow and have been testing it out. Wondered how others do or feel. My folks say stick to the gun for turkey. I'm thinking about, well, Nikki, here's the deal. If you think it's something you want to do and you're comfortable with that bow and you realize you are limiting yourself somewhat in the length of the shot that you can take, and you're fine with that, as I and many bow hunters are, then go for it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would advise hunting from a blind to mask your movements. And I would also recommend, if you're not using a recurve, and I suspect you're using a compound, I would recommend using a mechanical head. Early on in the days of mechanical heads, I could not recommend them because they weren't, in my opinion, reliable. These days, I believe they are. And you will find that shot placement with an arrow on a turkey is critical. There's a saying for bow hunters who pursue turkeys: hit them high, watch them die, hit them low, watch them go. Now, obviously, I'm not saying spine them or something like that, but the kill zone on a bird is pretty small, unless you want to take a headshot that it's either a dead bird or a miss. I don't have the guts to do that, but some people do. And when a bird is puffed up, when it's in strut, it looks like a big animal, but there's a lot of feathers there. So you want to center punch that thing. And here's something I learned a couple of years ago, at least with a recurve, the old Texas heart shot that people say, when a bird goes into strut and he turns around and he's facing away from you, where the fans all come together, where the feathers come together. I had always been told that was nothing, Pat. Nothing. There we go. I had always been told that was a good shot for bow hunting for turkeys. I hit an animal there just a little high of where the fans came together. You know what I'm talking about, the Texas heart shot. And the bird stumbled away and I didn't recover it. So I'm not a fan of that. So again, if you want to bow hunt for turkeys, God bless you. That's what I do. That's what I love. I think you'll enjoy it very much. But again, my suggestion is sit in a blind, use a mechanical head, and be very careful with your shot placement. All right, Johnny, you have a good day as well, buddy.
I'm going to get you started, and I'm just going to take off for a couple more.
Okay.
Now with that.
Yeah.
Get you started. About 1 minute.
Okay, about 1 minute. All right, Jen, you have a good day as well, and your piece of heaven up there in Gladwin. Promo codes, michiganbrand.net. Use the promo code Mike21. BrentonUSA.com. Use the promo code Avery. Get $100 off on a Brenton USA hunting rifle. MUCC.org. Use the promo code Mike, all caps, MIKE. Save 20%. Primal Tree Stands. PrimalTreeStands.com. Use the promo code Avery. Get that Wraith blind for $199.42 and actually get a big discount on anything. Is that real?
No, 30
Okay.
seconds.
30 seconds. Okay. In 30 seconds, I'm going to change my focus from talking to you and answering your questions. Well, that was weird. Ooh. To doing the radio show. And so I will not be able to respond to you directly. Some people get mad because they say, well, I asked you a question. Well, I can't answer it when I'm doing the radio show. So keep that in mind. I will see you tonight, though, hopefully. 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. So hopefully, though, I can see you tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, everywhere but Instagram, because Instagram doesn't want to play with StreamYard, which is my streaming platform. All right, my friends, enjoy the weather. Oh, John just tried the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks. So very good, he says. Hey, Judy, how are you? Nice to have you along with us. I will, Scott, but as you can see, I'm a little bit tied up right now, but I will. All right, my friends, have a great day. You might hear me talking about some of the same things here during the radio show that I just talked about on Behind the Mic, so forgive me for that. Have a good day. Here's Mike Avery. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. So glad to have you along with us as we continue our weekly 3-hour adventure into the history and tradition of the great outdoors, the great outdoor lifestyle here in the great state of Michigan and occasionally beyond. So what's going on right now in the world, in the outdoor world, since we last talked? Well, I can tell you one thing. Since we last talked, the weather has changed. We were watching my granddaughter's softball games last week wearing winter coats and blankets. And I was at a softball game last night in shorts and a t-shirt. So isn't that nice? I like it because it makes the turkeys more cooperative. It makes them gobble a little bit more. It makes them a little bit more active. Although I'm still having my struggles. I am really learning to appreciate the May season. Although the mosquitoes haven't been bad. The last time I was out, I saw my first mosquito, and it was not a problem. They will be soon. That's why God invented thermocells. You didn't know God invented thermocells, did you? Yeah, they're the real deal. They certainly do the job. I don't have my bird yet. I'm still continuing to play cat and mouse. I told you last week that I thought I had access to the property just to the east of my buddy Doug's farm. Thank you, Doug, for letting me hunt there, where the birds are roosting. It turns out that was not the case. I can have access southeast, but that's not getting me where I need to go. I need to be up in the northeast, the north end, where the birds are roosting, and I think it'll change my strategy. But I can still continue to hunt Doug's farm. There are birds there. The last time I was out, I had a bird gobbling on the roost to the north of me, and I had a bird gobbling on the roost southeast of me. And since it was going to be a warmer day, I thought, okay, maybe these birds are going to be a little more vocal, because my experience this season has been quiet. I mean, real quiet, like maybe gobble a little bit on the roost, and once they hit the ground, just shut up for the entire morning, maybe the entire day. I don't know. I don't sit out the entire day. Maybe I should. So this time, though, they gobbled their heads off on the roost. They hit the ground and continued to gobble. And I said, okay, here we go. Here we go. In front of me, now I'm sitting in that Primal Tree Stands Wraith 270 see-through blind, which is my go-to favorite blind in the world. You can get one, by the way. Go to primaltreestands.com, use the promo code Avery, and you get one for under $200. Pretty good deal, if I do say so myself. And in front of me, I had a couple of decoys. I had a hen decoy set down low on the ground, and I had a Jake decoy in semi-strut behind her. And the thinking is that a longbeard, a big tom, a gobbler would see that and go, oh man, there's a Jake there and he's moving in on my territory and he's not going to like that. It didn't work. And I wonder, after the fact, I got thinking, I wonder if the reason it didn't work is that I have not seen a Jake on that property this year, which does have me concerned for the future. You know, turkey numbers are a concern across the country and also some parts of Michigan. Now, yes, I realize that there are a lot of pockets of the state, a lot of parts of the state where turkey numbers are just like they ever were, just as many birds as there ever were. You know, you might see multiple longbeards in a morning's hunt. You might hear a whole bunch of birds gobbling as you drive down the road midday. You might see sorry about this. I got something. Everything's in bloom right now, right? Everything's coming out, and the allergies in my system tend to be irritated this time of year. So I apologize for that. But where I'm hunting, I know that there are 2 longbeards and quite a few hens, and not one Jake. I have not heard a Jake gobble, because when Jakes gobble, you will know it. And I have not called in one Jake or flock of Jakes, which, if you have hunted birds before and had experience with Jakes, and a Jake is an immature, they're a bearded male bird, so they're a legal target, but they're not the big longbeards, the big birds that most people go after. There's nothing wrong with shooting a Jake. Nothing wrong with shooting a Jake at all, if that's what you want to do. Completely legal. But if there are Jakes in the area, you will probably know it, because you'll hear them gobbling in a group, in a flock. They tend to hang together, and they don't put out these big, long gobbles. It's kind of a shortened gobble. And you will call them into your decoys. And they'll come in like a bunch of adolescent boys, a bunch of teenage boys, like falling all over themselves and gobbling their heads off. And they don't know which end is up. You know, it's been a few years, but I remember what that was like. But there's no Jakes there. So that morning, I did see the bird to the north of me. He dropped down in the field, and he was strutting and gobbling, and he did respond to my calls, but I couldn't get him to come in. The bird that was gobbling on the roost to the southeast of me, I never did see. But I continue again to play cat and mouse with these things. I've got till the end of the month. That's why I say I'm now a big fan of the May season. I used to joke with people who would love the May season. I said, I hate that mosquito season. Well, now I'm growing to like it, because the birds tend to be more cooperative, more receptive to calling as the month goes on. As more and more of the hens spend more of their time sitting on the nest, and they're not, accessible to the toms, they get frustrated and they start wandering around and responding to everything. Well, that's my hope. That's my hope. I'm almost glad that I haven't shot a bird yet, because my boat's not ready yet. My Angler Qwest isn't ready yet. If I knew that brand new Angler Qwest was ready to rock and ready to put on the water, I wouldn't be interested in turkey hunting. I'd be wanting to go fishing. But the fact that it's not done yet, okay, I can spend a couple of more weeks fishing. I talked hunting, turkey hunting. I talked to Brad Dupuis at Angler Qwest just the other day, and he said they're working on it. And like everything else in the world these days, things take more time. Now at Angler Qwest, at Apex Marine, that wonderful Michigan-based company that makes the Quest pontoons, the Angler Qwest boats, and they also bought Polar Craft boats a couple of years ago. They don't make those in Michigan; those are still made in Indiana. But the thing about Angler Qwest is they pride themselves, and rightfully so, in making almost every component for that boat in-house. I mean, they make their own furniture, they sew their own furniture, they weld their own tubes. I mean, they make these things in St. Louis, Michigan. But they have to go outside. They have to outsource some things like electronics, like motors, like gas tanks. And so they're at the mercy of the supply chain that we hear so much about. But Brad assures me it's on the way. So I will be patient. I will be patient. Don't forget, though, that May is the time to apply for your Michigan Bear and your Michigan Elk tag. We talked about this last week, and I will talk about it next week, and I will remind you every week in the month of May. Because it's not one of those things like, well, if you forget to apply for a turkey tag, you can go buy one over the counter. I think there are a few hunts in the Western UP where you might be able to do that on bear. Don't quote me. But for the most part, if you don't put in for a bear or certainly an elk tag, you're not going to get one. There's nothing left over. It doesn't happen that way. I will apply again for my elk tag, knowing full well I will not get it because I'm going to be stubborn and continue to apply for a bull-only tag, which is probably stupid. I know it's probably stupid. Your odds are increased if you apply for if you apply for a cow tag because they give more of them out. But when I used to MC the registration or the orientation meeting for the hunts, the elk hunts, every year, there was somebody or maybe several somebodies who got their bull elk tag after applying for just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So it can happen. And you know that I'm putting in for the third season in Newberry. And I will get that hunt this year. I'll be hunting with my buddy, Johnny Bowler. Some promo codes I want to make you aware of. MichiganBrand.net. Use the promo code Mike21. Get 20% off everything on the website. BrentonUSA.com. Use the promo code Avery. Get $100 off on one of those beautiful Brenton USA AR style hunting rifles. Extremely accurate. MUCC.org. Use the promo code Mike, all caps. Get 25% off on your first time sign-up. And PrimalTreeStands.com. Use the promo code Avery. Again, discounts on everything on the website, including that beautiful Wraith 270 see-through ground blind. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, after the break, Keith DeWald of the Saginaw Bay Walleye Club, talking about a post he put online that has a lot of people concerned, and not rightfully so, in my opinion. I think it's been overblown, and I think Keith is going to agree with me on that. Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News wraps up the hour. In hour number 2, Cody Norton, the Michigan DNR's bear expert, talking about the bear point system and bears in Michigan. Dr. Megan Moriarty on avian flu, bird flu. Is it a big deal or not? The Ask Avery segment, the DNR is collecting heads from roadkill deer in Southwest Michigan and leaving the carcasses there. At least they were. And in our third hour, Dan Harrington from the United Deer Farmers of Michigan talking about deer farms, captive cervid farms. He said that's a story we should know more about. And of course, we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Miner. That's coming up this week right here on Outdoor Magazine. Dave, how are you? Aditya, I saw you in there. How are you doing, buddy? Are you feeling better? Now we just need to get Shelby feeling better. Kevin got the first week of the season, but it was hard to come by shutting off at daybreak. Yes, exactly. That's why I like the ZZ. I know. Well, they attack your decoy, and a lot of times they'll attack the bird that's down, too. All right, my friends, have a good day. Enjoy the weather, and hopefully I can see you tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live right here on Mike Avery Out.